Okay, so I wanted to talk about hand positions now, and I talked about this in my blog, but I realized it would probably be a lot better if you could actually see the if you could actually see it visually and see the movements. So I don't have a dummy, but I do have my friend Poor Yorick here who can help me demonstrate a little bit. Okay, um, so there are some things that just go without saying. All right, the open-handed slap. Okay, the fist. I mean, we kind of know how to do that, all right? So I'm just going to get straight into the uh, exotic hand styles that I use and how they actually can be practical, okay? So firstly, there's the knife hand and ridge hand, okay? Well, ridge hand, knife hand, actually. Now I do this in a modified way. Um, say what you will about the Dillman method. I personally feel like he's gotten a little crazy over the years too, but initially his foundations were solid, okay? And this is one of the things that I learned out of his stuff was folding the pinky under for the knife hand. And what that does is that gives you a nice pressure point striker right there, very solid, okay? The hand doesn't collapse under pressure. So this is really good for striking like in the crevices of the neck, okay? It's really good for striking that one. And then with the ridge hand on the inside of the hand, on the thumb side of the hand, well, there you have here, here, and here. I got paint on my hands. Disregard that. I'm not a zombie. um, so that one works the same way. Good for getting in to the sides of the neck. Okay. Um, and then there's, and this one has a lot of different names, and I could be using it wrong. I think in my blog I called it a wood hand or a crane beak. Okay. The fingertips are brought together at the thumb. All right, and they're all pressed. They're all bunched tightly like this, so that when you strike, you have a hard surface. Okay. But this is also a hook for catching arms and limbs and redirecting them. And then it may seem kind of weird, but this one right here, the upper part of the wrist, is really, really great for striking. And I'll show you, hopefully, poor Yorick here can help me demonstrate well. So we've got our crane beak, okay? If we rise like in an uppercut and strike with the wrist here underneath the chin, okay, first of all, that's a good way to knock somebody out, okay? Boxers use this, all right? Street fighters use this. I found out from somebody who had done some time that they just call it popping the jaw, okay? And what it is not just bringing it up, but also snapping forward like this. It's kind of an awkward thing to do with a fist, but your wrist is already naturally moving that way because of the anatomy of the arm, because the way that the arm moves, all right? So it's actually ideal for striking that. If that doesn't knock the person out, it exposes the neck, okay? And so let's imagine my wrist here is poor Yorick's throat, okay? So we come up, pop the jaw, exposes the throat, and then immediately we apply that crane beak right in there at the Adam's apple, okay? That's going to take somebody out. It's at least going to put them out of commission for a few seconds, give you time to follow up with something else. Just be careful with that one, because if you do it hard, it very well could kill them. So make sure that you're using the proper amount of force for the situation, okay? And should go without saying, but, be careful with your partner. Don't kill your partner. All right. The next one I want to talk about is what I called, I believe, what I called in the blog a Phoenix Eye fist, okay? And what that is you have a regular fist, you extend the first knuckle, you put the thumb into the hollow that's formed there to reinforce it, okay? And so this is what you're actually striking with. you're actually striking with that knuckle. And again, it's a pressure point technique, okay? So for Yorick here, and I actually like the anatomical accuracy of this skull. So you see that little bone right there, that ridge next to the eye? What you want to do is strike right into that little hollow, that little pit right there, okay? And you want to strike it not to the back of the head, but actually almost like you're trying to go down through the other side of the jaw, or yeah, right over around the TMJ. That's the way that you want to strike it. Okay. So you want to go in, but not too much in. You actually want to go in and forward a bit. That way you're actually pressing the nerve against the ridge of this bone here. Okay. So that's one way of applying this Phoenix Eye Fist. And one that I didn't put in the blog, but I'll probably go and edit that later, is the Diamond Fist, okay? And that's using the second knuckle. Now, this one is a little harder to describe on paper. That's why I'm glad to be putting it in the video like this. So you're using the second knuckle, right? But you're bringing the first and third fingers together. So you're not just extending the second knuckle, okay? You're bringing the first and third fingers together, kind of pinching it with the sides to reinforce it, okay? And then the thumb comes in there to further reinforce, all right? So it's like that. You're first pinching with the sides, and then the thumb goes in to reinforce it, okay? So, and that's the Diamond Fist because, well, it makes sort of a little diamond shape, you see. And, of course, what you're striking with is that one extended knuckle, all right? And, again, it's just another way of doing the pressure point strike, okay, such as to the temple. And then there's the leopard paw. A lot of people are familiar with that one. It's simply a fist where only, rather than doing a whole fist like that, where the knuckles are slightly extended. This gets into smaller spaces. And they, of course, use things like the snake fist and things like that for the same purpose of getting into smaller spaces. But I find that the leopard paw is the most useful, okay? Now, of course, people can train this. They can train that snake fist, and it works quite well. But you have to do a lot of practice to make your hand strong enough to go into a solid target and not collapse, not break your fingers, okay? So, oh, and by the way, that's the way that a snake fist would be done, not like this, but you actually bring the thumb in and tighten the hand. The muscles around here go tighter, and so it stiffens it up a bit, okay? But still, it's dangerous without having proper conditioning to use that. The leopard paw, on the other hand, serves the same purpose and is a bit more solid, so I just prefer it, okay? And this one is really better for getting into to small targets like to the groin, where you might go in at an angle like that. Imagine the targets on the groin make a V, okay? So it's not really like you're aiming for the middle of it so much as you are aiming the nerves and blood vessels on the side. And so this leopard paw gets into that V by, turning the angle like that. Okay. It's also good for getting up under the armpit and getting to the pressure points in there. And then, of course, to the throat, just like you would with the crane beak, like we talked about before. Yeah, so those are some of the different hand positions that I use and how they can be applied in actual martial practice. Research them, try some different things out, just try them carefully with a partner who knows what they're doing. If you're going to do pressure point attacks, if you're going to do pressure point strikes, please learn proper revival techniques, okay? Don't just go messing around with that stuff without knowing what you're doing. Get formal training if you can from somebody who actually knows how to do the techniques and will show you. So until then, stay safe, practice, and good training.